Hello everyone, we're back for week 2 of the Prairie Garden Quilt Along. So if you're joining us for the Elf Quilt Along, it's happening coincidentally at the same time, so don't get confused. This is the Prairie Garden Quilt. So this is the Prairie Garden Quilt. We are sewing this. It's a quick and easy straight. So if you aren't part of this quilt along and you would like to be, you have completely enough time to make it. You can make this quilt in a weekend. We are taking 4 weeks to make this quilt, but it is just all straight, easy piecing sewing. Easy peasy. So you can definitely grab this quilt pattern and join us here and catch up. This week is week 2, and we are going to be doing cutting. So we're going to talk about fussy cutting a little bit because, as I said, it's fat quarter friendly, this quilt pattern. I said that last week. The big blocks in the center are wonderful. They're 8.5 by 8.5. So they're wonderful for really centering and fussy cutting. Now, if you haven't done fussy cutting before or you're new to quilting, I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks on how to do that. Or you can just cut your yardages in 8.5-inch strips and cut all your pieces as you want. So you can play with fabrics as much as you want here. There's lots of room to play. And we're going to talk about just different ways to do that today. So let me drop the camera down and let's get started on how we can make this quilt your own. All right, so here's my fabric pull. I'm using Tasha Noel for Riley Blake Designs. This is her new print here. It's called Quilt Market, and it is just an adorable, adorable little print. She's got wonderful little illustrations in it, and I'm just trying to play around a little bit and match up some of my fat quarters in this. So I think I'm going to fussy cut each of these different colors for my big blocks. Then I'm going to use this, the darker, sort of stronger prints for where I would put my solids on, where I put my solids here. And then these scrappy little corners inside, I'm going to have just the lighter colors. That's what I'm trying to go for here. I think I'm going to do a completely scrappy version, so it's just really random and fun, but I want to make sure that I fussy cut the patterns that I want. So I'm going to move these out of the way, and we're going to start with the blue one. Okay, so in the instructions here, it will tell you what size and how many and how to cut for if you're making this diagonal line with your design, but we are going to just find out what we need to cut. So the big print is this size. This is 8.5 by 8.5, and I cut this on a piece of interfacing just so that I can play with it a little bit. Now I'm going to show you one way that I fussy cut so I can get the exact design in the middle. This is already cut to the size that I need. So I just cut it out. It's 8.5 by 8.5 exactly. So when I lay it on my fabric, I will know what I'm cutting out. But in order to see that, I'm going to cut out the center too. So I'm just going to leave maybe, a good 1/2 inch so it doesn't tear. Well, this stuff really won't tear anyways, but just so it still keeps its shape. You don't want to make it so thin that you've lost the shape completely. Good. And I'm going to pull that center out. Oh, I didn't get all my corners. Well, live television here. Yes, there we go. Okay, I got all my corners. So this is my 8.5 by 8.5. That's pretty much my seam allowance that's going to be there. And I'm going to open up my fabric. All right, and lay it out here first. So depending on how much yardage you have, if you have the exact amount, you won't be able to fussy cut. Whenever you fussy cut, you do need to just allow for extra because you don't always use right to the ends of all the salvages. So this way I just love it. I love it more than a ruler because I don't have an 8.5 ruler, I have a 9.5 ruler. So in order to find my center, I really just have to mark it here and then look through all these lines, which isn't as wonderful and easy as it is to look through this. So I'm going to try and center this. I'd like to get this quilt picture here, and I'd like to get this quilt show collection. I can cut this right on the edge, line it up right with my edge, and then I will have the least amount of waste because I am always thinking about that as well. And then I'm going to put my ruler right on top. And because this edge is already cut, I am going to line it up on these two edges. The least you have to move it, the less you have to move it, the better. And I'm going to cut these two edges. Make sure I'm really not getting my corners today. Okay. And then without doing too much, I'm just going to keep some tension on it and slide it over so I don't accidentally move it out of my way. Or at this point, because I have 3 edges, I could move it out of the way and just use my ruler as an 8.5-inch square. So either way is fine. And I might need to get a new blade. What do you think? And there is my first center square. So cute. So you might not have centered it like that if you didn't have this, but you can see once this is in there, that is actually going to be just how I want it. So that's excellent. So you can go ahead and cut all your center blocks first, and then you can go and match your other patterns. So then when it says solid fabric, I'm actually going to use this fabric here. And then when it says supporting fabrics, I'm going to use these tiny little checks. Oh, it's going to be adorable. And then actually for my background fabric, I am going to use just this low volume. It's got some sewing machines. There's a little bit of pink that I was able to get my hands on, and some blue. So that is how you quilt or cut this quilt out. It's a very, very, very simple quilt. This fussy cutting makes it fun, and you don't have to worry about the direction yet because we haven't started sewing it. So because this is directional, and I did say that the blocks are going to be rotated, some will be like this, some will be like this, and some will be like this. I'm going to show you how to do that before we sew it up on week 3. So for now, you don't have to worry about that. You can just cut. If you have directional fabric here and you want, just one second. Try that again. If you have directional fabric here and you want these to be not going horizontally and then vertically around, because this will be my solid fabric here, then you will have to take notice of that, so that you'll have to make one piece going vertical and one horizontal. But you know what? I'm not going to worry about it because it's such a tiny little print. I'm going to let some go this way and some go that way. Because when my kids snuggle over this quilt, under this quilt, chances are it might not even be up anyways, right side up anyways. So I'm not going to worry about this tiny print too much, but I definitely want these main prints to be all facing in the same direction. Thank you so much for joining us for the Prairie Garden Quilt Along. This is week 2 of the Prairie Garden Quilt Along. I truly feel like this is just such a fun and enjoyable, easy sew, and I'm so happy that you are here joining us. If you're watching this video on the YouTube channel, on the Be So Inspired YouTube channel, please do like this video, and I'd love to invite you to also subscribe to the channel. That would be just wonderful, and we would get all the notifications if you put that little check mark there of all the new videos that come out. Also, I'd like to invite you to come over, if you aren't already, to Inspired Facebook group. Inspired Quilting Facebook group, pardon me. And there we can share all of our makes, share your fabric pulls. It's a learning group that we grow and learn together. It's just wonderful, full of lots of amazing quilters of all levels, from beginners all the way to professionals, and everyone is so willing to share. So please come on over there as well, and post your fabric pulls, post any cutting questions, post your progress photos, and inspire us all at Inspired Quilting. Thank you so much. I'm Jennifer Long from Be So Inspired, and I am so happy you are here today. Thank you. Bye for now.